Coming. Sweet. All right. Just setting everything up and making sure things are good to go. Hope everyone's doing well. Just give me a moment. Okay, hello. Hope everyone's had a great New Year's, ready for 2025. See how things go. Let's hope it's not one of those years. Well, what are one of those years, eh? All right. All right, so that's gone there. All right. All right, just making sure things are working. All right, that's that. Just need to prepare. And then we can get started. All right, so that is that. And finally, what am I doing? OBS. OBS is working well. Pop that to the side there. And I'll pop this over here. All right. Awesome. And I can see that. Perfect. Now, I just need to start recording and also recording my local video as well. Need backups. Backups. All right. That's that one. I often select the wrong mic. So pod mic USB. Making sure I select the right one, select the right screen, and we're good to go. All right. Okay, I think we are good to go. Just have an itchy nose. Oh. It's just one of those things during winter. Yeah. Bit of a runny nose. All right. Phone is off. And let's now switch to the main feed. And we're there. I'll switch over there. And we're there. All right. Perfect. I think we are good to go. Then we'll just have a sip of water. And let's get started. Okay. Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at how to build custom activity logs with the message module in Drupal. Now, what are custom activity logs? Well, in last week's video, well, last year technically, but yeah, last week's video, we looked at tracking event logs in Drupal. So whenever something happened in Drupal, it'll be logged. So when content's created, users try to log in and things like that. But message works a little differently. The best way to think of message is that it allows you to create some type of system where you can um, be very specific on what you want to track, and then you can track those activities by writing custom code to actually track it, and then things can be displayed. So the best way to kind of explain it is that if you have a social network site built using Drupal, you could create some type of activity stream where it tracks every single time somebody replies to a comment, creates a comment, replies or likes a piece of content, and things like that. So the best way to think of Message is that it is a messaging platform where you can um, build custom functionality around it. Now, the difference between Message module and all the other modules like events, what is it? Events log and things like that, is that you do have to implement yourself when you want to track and create these message logs. So that is the difference. So the best way to kind of think of it is that if you do want to track user interactivity and kind of gamify things and show what's happening on your site, then message is the best way to do it. Of course, you could do things where you could be tracking in orders, and whenever an order is created, it can be pushed off to some other third-party system. Again, that can all be implemented. But message module itself is kind of like a big framework for just managing some type of message queue or some type of messaging system in Drupal. Now, the message can be anything. Okay, it can be absolutely anything. But it is different to say just tracking event operations in Drupal, such as when somebody tries to log in and things like that. So if you want to learn more about the module, just Google message in Drupal. Well, no, you would want to Google message space Drupal or go to drupal.org/project/message. And there is a lot of documentation about the module. Now, I've covered the module on WebWash a long time ago, back in Drupal 7 days. So it's been around. It has been around. And today we're going to be focusing on just creating the message templates or message types, and then programmatically creating those actual message entities, because these are just filterable entities at the end of the day, and then displaying them as well. Now, a lot of the power with the message module comes from sending off emails and things like that. So you do have message notify, message subscribe, and also message digest. I tried to fit them into this video, but then this video is going to end up being pretty long, so I'm not going to cover those. Maybe in a future video I will cover it if people are asking for that type of information, because it is pretty complex. You need to set up emails and stuff like that to kind of demo and show it. So we're just going to be focusing on getting started with the message module, creating your message types, displaying them, and also actually logging the entities as well. So that is creating the message entities. And then if you want to take things further and look at message notify, subscribe, and digest, you should have the skills necessary to then take things to the next level, because that is more of an advanced topic. Because as soon as you have to deal with email, life gets a lot harder. Seriously, it does. All right, so enough talking. Let's jump into it. So what I recommend you do is scroll down to the bottom and grab this composer command. And I've already got a Drupal 11 site set up, and I've already downloaded the module. The other module which I have downloaded is this message UI. So this message UI module just gives you a user interface so that you can see the messages. So you can create messages yourself through the back end. without having to write custom code. And also you can see the log messages and also view the messages as well. You can see all the logs. So it's a great way of just testing things out. And if you are using Message, just have the module installed, especially locally. You don't need to set up on production if you don't have to, but locally it is very useful to have. So I've downloaded this module. So let me go back into my site and I'll search for Message and I'll install Message and Message UI. I am going to be saying Message a lot, so have a shot every single time I say it. I think I've said that a few times. All right. And before I forget, you need to, I'll highly recommend that you install Token as well. Because Token is used to generate the actual messages that's displayed when an actual message is logged. All right. So the first message type or message template, as they're called, that we're going to create, will simply create a log message which will say the title of the piece of content, and then the content type has been created by, and then the author name. So that is the message we are going to actually log. And of course, we're going to use tokens to replace the title and also in brackets the content type. So for example, if I create an article called how to install Drupal, the message should say how to install Drupal, and then in brackets article has been created by, and then in this case it's going to be admin because the admin user created it. So that's what we are going to create right now. So to start things off, let's go to structure, and then you should see message types, and let's click on message template, message template. And this is going to be called content created. So this will just be for tracking when content is created. And this is where you put your message in. And of course, you can use tokens to kind of make things dynamic. And that's why I do recommend that you install the token module. Tokens still work. The token functionality is in core, but getting this nice little browse available tokens is only available if you have the token module. But 9 times out of 10, you will have token installed because it is one of the highest installed Drupal modules. So it's there. Everyone uses it. All right. So we've created the message template. So let's go edit. And now what we need to do is actually track which content this is referring to. And the way message module does it is just through an entity reference field. And so when a message is created, whichever content the message is referring to is always tracked through an entity reference field. So in this case, it's going to be a content reference or a reference to a node. But if we were to create a message template for comments, we would simply reference the comment as well. So all we need to do is click on create a new field, select reference. I'll call this one message content. This can be called whatever you want, but you just want to make sure you know what the field name is. And this is going to reference content because we are referencing content types. And let's select both and click on Save Settings. And that's it. That's all what we need to do. Now let's go back to edit and let's compose our actual message. So anything we enter in here will be logged and will be part of the message, the actual log. But of course, we want things to be dynamic. So what we are going to do is I'm going to copy in, I'll select source because I want to copy in these tokens. So this is message and then the field name. So make sure this field machine name matches the field you've just created. Very important. You can see here, message content entity title. So that's the title. And then it grabs the content type, has been created by, and then message, then author, and then account name. Now, if you want to grab the correct and you want to make sure that you've got the correct tokens, click on browse available tokens, open it up. I don't know why that does that always opens up on the bottom anyway. And then scroll down to messages. And then here you need to kind of drill down and make your way through it. So you can see here we have entity reference, which is field message content. And then you can go down and drill your way through. So if you want to get access to the actual entity, which is reference, you'll then go content, and then you can go further down, as they say, the rabbit hole, and find your entity. So we used this one, and we also used this one as well. Okay, you can go down there and drill down. So if for some reason the tokens aren't working, then make sure you have added in the right tokens. All right, so let's save that. Okay, we've got our token message set up. Now, for us to test all of this stuff out, we can do two things. We can either then figure out how to programmatically create these message logs, or we can use message UI. And this is why I recommend that you use this message UI module. Because now if we go to content message, you can see all of your messages. Now, of course, creating a table of messages is easy. You can do that using views. That's not a problem. But having this add message is pretty useful, because what you can do is come along in here and then find a piece of content. Now, I haven't created a piece of content. I will have to do that. And then click on create, and it will automatically create the message for you. So you can just test that everything is working. So let's go to content and let's create an actual piece of content. So I'll create one called About Us. About Us page goes here. And let's click on save. Okay. This is stock standard Drupal 101. Now, if we go to message, add message, and search for About Us, we should find it. Then click on create. It's going to go ahead and create our message. And we get this nice little actual text right here. About Us, in brackets, page has been created by admin. Easy, easy, easy. Now let's take things one step further. You'll notice that nothing is linked, okay? When you create these type of activity logs, often you will have a link to the piece of content which is referenced. So let's now add in a link so that the About Us text, which is the title, actually links over to the page. And you can do things also with the username. If you want to allow user profiles on your site, you may want to have the user profile name linked as well. But again, depends on what type of site you are building. But to make the page title linkable is actually very simple. Go to structure, message types, and click on edit. Now, what we need to do is figure out the URL. Now, I know exactly what the token is, but let's do it together. So let's go to messages, then message content, then content. Let's drill down until we find URL right here. So I'll grab that. And if we scroll up, what we can do is we can click on here and then just paste this in. However, one thing to be aware of is that if you click on source and then click on source again, so here you'll see that, yep, everything kind of looks like it's working. But then if you click on source and then click on source again, everything is working here. All right. And let's click on save. Then let's just double check that. Oh, here you go. This is what I was looking for. You'll see that Drupal does sanitize the token that gets added to the href. So you have to be careful of that. So to fix this problem, we have two solutions. Either change basic HTML or just switch it over to full HTML. Let's switch it over to full HTML. And what we can do is paste that back in. Then if we go source, and that's not changing, which is great. Scroll down, click on save message template. And now if we go back to message, it will straight away be a link. Now, the good thing about message is that because it saves the arguments, and the argument in this case is the entity reference field, because it's always saved, and if you use the tokens correctly, then you won't have to retrospectively go and change all the previous log messages. Because message is aware of the piece of content that you are referencing. So it automatically just updates all of the message text. So that's just something to be aware of. Of course, I'm trying to think right now, there are probably use cases where, edge cases that you will hit and where you would have to retrospectively go and migrate content and fix things up. I can't think of any right now, but if you keep it simple, then everything should work. So right now we are happy with our message template. Everything is working. Everything is looking great. Now let's set up our site so that these message logs are actually getting programmatically created, because you can imagine manually creating a message is useless. That defeats the point of actually using this system. You want to manually, you do not want to manually create these messages. You want it to be programmatically created. Now, when it comes to creating message logs, you have to do it yourself. You have to write custom code and be very specific on where you want those to be created. So in this case, okay, if we want to log every single time a new piece of content is created, we need to write a bit of custom code to create a message log using the hook insert. So hook insert hook, okay? Now in Drupal 11.1, things have changed on how you implement hooks. So now we have hook objects where you define a PHP attribute. Well, we define a class first and then a PHP attribute on a method, and then that method is used as the actual hook instead of just doing hook node insert. So what we need to do now is create a custom module and then create our class and our actual method. So let's go ahead and do that. So we get to do a bit of coding, which is always exciting. All right. So we're going to use Drush for most of the code creation. So let's run Drush and then click on generate module. So what this is going to do is just simply create a module for us. So I'll call this one module message machine name used for message module custom, click no. All right, cool. That's all done. Now what we want to do is enable it. It's a message. All right, so that's gone ahead there and enabled. Now the next step is we need to bring up our IDE of choice. In this case, it is PHP Storm, but you can use anything. And then if we go to modules, we will see our custom module right here. It's very basic and very simple. Now, we need to now create a class. So what I'll do is I'll click on new and I'll create a new class and make sure you add it to the hook folder. So in source, hook. This means that it'll auto load. And then of course you can call it whatever you want. Like yeah, the name node hooks isn't anything special, but you just want to make sure that it is in the hook namespace. So it auto loads. So that's all there. And then finally, we just add in, no, where we go, there we go, right here. We just add in our class. And again, this is just basic PHP stuff. So we defined a namespace. We need to use the node interface because we're using it right there. And also just define an attribute, which is right here. So this tells Drupal that, yep, we need to, this node insert tells Drupal to use this method whenever it invokes the node insert. So to make sure that this actually works, so let's clear the cache, of course. Let's clear the cache. Let's turn on Xdebug and make sure everything is working. So I'm just turning it on my local version. And what I'll do is test equals node, put a breakpoint in there, turn on Xdebug there. Let me pop that there. There we go. Debug is turned on. All right. Now, what I want to do is make sure that the bit of code is actually getting invoked. That's the first thing you want to do. Okay. You don't want to write a ton of code and then realize, well, yeah, the reason why it's not working is because my module's dodgy or my module's not installed. That has happened to me where I've spent 20 minutes trying to debug something, realizing, oh, that's right, I didn't install the module. The module's there, I just didn't install it. Yeah, it's happened. That's why I put a nice big step in my notes to say, install module straight away. So let's go here, click on create article, and let me just make sure, oh, I'm listening. I've got a breakpoint. So this should fire off when I create this test page, creating Drupal sites. And there you go. Cool. All right. It's popped off. The breakpoint has been found, and we can see here we have node. And then we can go through and just step our way through. And here you go. Here's how things are invoked. If you want to learn about that, it's actually surprisingly cool to go through the code one day. If you want to spend your Friday night going through it, well, if you're watching right now, then you're spending your Friday night watching this video. But yeah, if you want to spend some time just going through the code, it is a pretty fascinating read. If that's what you call it. Yeah, reading the code, I guess so. Just go through it and just seeing how things work and just seeing how far you can get. Anyway, so let's just resume it. All right, everything's working, which is great. Let's close that. And what I'll do is just turn off my local version of Xdebug because it does slow things down, and turn this off. Don't need it. Refresh, and everything is working. All right, so it's nice and fast. All right, so let's close others. So we see this. All right, so now we know that this method is working. Now all we need to do is add in a bit of custom code to programmatically create our message. Now, what I do recommend is if you go into contrib message and go to messages, and then let me expand this, and then click on message example. Here you'll see actual examples of all of the hooks which are implemented. I do believe now hook node insert and update do not work this way, but you can easily just grab this and then just adjust it accordingly. And that's it. And you can see here that to use it well in in this example module, there is a bit of code involved when it comes to using message, because you need to manually create them. So what I'll do is I'll grab my version, come over here, and we also need to use message. Oh, there's two message classes. No, that one. All right. So message create template, then it's content created. So that is, we'll go here. That is this machine name, content created. Perfect. Content created. And then we have node, the user ID, which is fine. Then message set, field message content. So make sure this field machine name matches exactly this one right here, or you will get errors. So that's the two most important things. And then of course you pass the node in and you pass the node through. And then when you click on save. So now what this should do is create a log message for us. So if we come along in here and create a new article called how to use hook, what is it? Node hooks. Click on save. Well, we didn't get a fatal error. That's the first thing. And if we go to content message, we should see, there we go, how to use node hooks article. So that has been created with this bit of code. So of course, if you want to track when content's updated, what you would do is essentially duplicate this, change this to update, I believe. And then of course you can do that and then create another content updated message or something like that, and so on and so forth. And then you can go in there and track it. I do believe also you can use the same method if you want, like that. So you can have multiple hooks pull out at the same method. So this will be, I don't know, node manager, but then you need to determine when it's been inserted or updated. But hey, it's your code, or just ask Copilot or Cursor to figure it out for you. Let's be honest. You know, you could say, what is this? Wait, what is this? I am curious to see what this tells us. Come on, Copilot, go Copilot. No, it doesn't. No, it's correct. Okay, cool. Right, you're quite smart. All right. Okay. So that is how you create a message log using custom code. Now, in the Drupal world, I feel like we often try to avoid writing custom code because, you know, you have to manage custom code. You also add technical debt with code. So now I want to show you how to create these message logs without writing any custom code and using a module called ECA, which stands for Event Condition Action. I hope that really explains it. No. Essentially, ECA is a no-code solution that empowers you to orchestrate your Drupal site. Now, I'm just reading that right here. But essentially, it is a UI in Drupal's backend where you can set up workflows to run particular actions on specific events. So, for example, we can create a workflow using ECA where when a content is created, then the action will be to log the creation using a message log. Now, I am often blown away just at how powerful ECA is. And if we do if you have used rules in the past, like in Drupal 7 days, it's kind of like that. Like rules was a real game changer. Back in the day, this is kind of a replacement. But yeah, it is an awesome module. There is a bit of a learning curve, I must admit, just to get your head around it. But once you do understand it, you can implement some powerful things without writing any code. And really, the benefit of it is that it's always good to have a lot of business logic and a lot of custom logic visible to your site builders. Now, I am not against writing custom code. I love to write custom code, especially if you can write basic tests for it and you can manage it well, then custom code is great. But the problem is that if you do have a lot of developers coming through your project and things have moved around a lot, you can often spend a lot of time where you're fixing up bugs that were introduced by custom code implemented 3 years ago, but it hasn't been updated, and you spend half a day finding it. And then once you do find it, you realize that it's breaking this, and this. By using ECA, you can actually have all of your logic in the back end and visible. And that in itself, I think, is very powerful. Just having visibility with your custom workflows is huge, because you could actually write custom actions as codes and then just as code and then use ECA to implement that. So I'm a big fan of it, and I do believe, yeah, ECA is part of Drupal CMS, which is a new version of Drupal coming out soon as of this recording. If you are watching this video after the 15th of January 2025, then it's already out, and Google it. Yeah. So Drupal CMS will get this. And there is a pretty decent list of modules for, well, ecosystem. That's the word I was trying to look for. Ecosystem of modules for ECA. And yeah, I do recommend that you have a play with it. So what we're going to do now is set up this module and have our message logs created. Now, when you do set it up, you have to download, of course, ECA, but then you also need to download these modelers. And this modeler is the actual interface that I'm talking about. So you want to download this project as well, which gives you a nice UI for this. So imagine you have inherited a website, and instead of looking through code, you can just look at this type of interface to see custom logic. See, that's the benefit of ECA. Look at it. You can straight away see, okay, this is working. This is working. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So I do recommend that you use the module. Absolutely awesome. There is a module that you also have to install. Now, again, depending when you watch this video, you may or may not need this module, because this module is, simply puts in a basic fix, which will be eventually merged with ECA in this issue. So it's been, well, no, it's been pushed back. It's been pushed back. Yeah. If you are watching this video 6 months from now, just have a look at this project page and just make sure if it's actually needed. But as of this recording right now, we need this module. So that is ECA Message. Yeah, so once this is merged, you won't need it. You'll be good as gold. All right, so let's go ahead, and first what we need to do is uninstall the custom module, just so that our messages aren't getting created. So let's uninstall our custom module, then go to list, and then download all the modules that I mentioned. And you want to install ECA Message, the BPNMN module. You want to install an ECA content. And then all of the other dependencies will be installed. So just give that a moment. It's just going to go ahead and download everything. All right. Now let's go to configuration and then scroll all the way down and you should see ECA right here. And as you can see, we have no models or workflows. All right, let's create our first workflow. So what we're going to do is click on add new model. And then you want to put in an event. So that is the circle. Well, I'll first click on general here. I hope you can see it. Let me just check that in the video. I'll probably turn myself off just for now. There we go. Just so that I don't cover it because I will end up probably covering it. So there you go. With the magic of editing, I've disappeared. Anyway. All right. So let's call this one content created and then click on save. All right. So that's been saved. Now let's click on our event and from template, click on select and then search for insert content. So what we are doing is we want to run this when content is inserted. Then under custom properties, you want to select content any, but you can specify content article or content basic page. We want to select content any. Then you can click on task, or this is the event. Oh, sorry, no, this is the action. And this is the condition. So when you put a little, when you click on this arrow, that's the condition. So this will be, where is it? Again, click on template and then search for entity. So entity create new, because messages are simply entities. And we'll give this name create message log. And this is where you need to be very, very specific. All right. So the name of this token, so ECA utilizes tokens a fair bit to actually reference other things in the workflow. So we need to now specify our entity as a token. So we'll call this one message log. You can call it whatever you want. Well, actually, I'll call it message entity. Okay, message entity. You can call it whatever you want, okay, but it just needs to be consistent. So whenever you reference the entity created in this task or action, it will be referenced using message-entity. Then what you want to do is, under type, you want to specify exactly which entity you want to create. So that is message and then content created. Language, you can select whatever you want, but I'll just stick with defined by token. Label, don't have to worry about that. Published, we don't have to worry about that because message log doesn't really publish anything with it. Then finally, down at the bottom, we have owner UID, and this one will be current user and then UID. All right. So at this point, we want to make sure that, yes, the name of the token is message entity. The type is message and then content created, and everything's looking good. So at this point, we've created our entity. Now we need to set the field because remember, we take a look at our custom code. We need to now set the field. Essentially, what we have done is this task is this line right here. And now we need to set the field value and also pass the correct entity over to it. And then, of course, hit save. So that's kind of a nice way of understanding it. So to do that, what you need to do is, again, you can click on task, or you can just pull over another task right here and then just pass in an arrow. That's another way of doing it. And let's call this one set field value. And then from template, select set field value. And importantly, you want to make sure that the field name is correct. So this is the machine name. So this will be field message content. If we go back to our code, it is this exactly. So even better, copy that across, just so you know it works. Then the field value. This is important. We need to pass the entity that we are referencing. Now, I do know that ECA will create an entity called, a token called entity. Because if we take a look at the documentation here, so click on our first event, it does specify it. Where is that? Right here. It does specify it right here that it uses the token entity for it. So very important. So we've passed that. Then you want to save the entity. And most importantly, we need to reference this entity that's being created. So we need to use this token. So to make things easier and so that we don't accidentally put in the wrong token, just copy that and then pass that across without the brackets. Take note of that, without the brackets. And then just, you can save it. Now, we could set this to no and create another step called entity save, but we don't have to do that, okay? You don't have to do that. Just set that to yes. So essentially, this does mimic the code because we have our event. So this is the hook. Then we create a new event log, which is this step. And then in the last step, we set these, we implement this bit of code right here. So just think of it like that. So that's been set. Everything's looking good. And to make sure that everything flows through, what we can do, and this is what I like to do while I'm testing things out, let's put a debug message in. Because if we click on here, so we can select display a message to the user, ECA ran that way. Of course, you can remove it later, but this is a good way of testing things out so that we at least know it's being run. Because again, you don't want to try and debug things and then realize that, oh, the event's not getting fired off. And to get rid of this message, just click on it. That's it. It took me a while to figure out. It's like, where's the X? And I didn't realize, oh, I can click on it. The other thing I also want to mention is that if you do want to display a different template, just click on the down arrow and then you can unlink, or in this case, or let's just say you select that, you just go remove. But let's just add it in. ECA ran. That's looking good. And we click on save. All right. So everything's been now set up using ECA. Let's test things out. Let's open up a new tab. And click on create article, ECA test. And let's hope this works. Click on save. There we go. We've got our message. So at least we know that the workflow worked. Then we go to content, message, and we should see ECA test has worked. Perfect. All right. Now let's break it just so that you can see what it looks like when you break it. So let's say, for example, you didn't select this entity right down at the bottom here correctly. Okay. You put in the wrong, you didn't spell entity correct, which is something that happens to me. I can never spell entity. Entry, entity, it's all the same to me. I always spell it wrong. Okay. We do that. Come along in here. Well, not there. Click on content, then ECA, another test. Click on save. So we can't see the message. Okay. We can't see the message. But what we can also do is let's go back to ECA and then go to logs. And you will see this message right here. failed execution of set field value. You can see that the provided field value does not exist. So that is field message content. So it's looking for field message content on node ID 5. So that means that ECA, let's go back here. Is this? So this one should be node 5. Yeah. Okay. So ECA is smart enough to try and find an entity, and then it tries to attach that field to that entity, but it's not, but that field is not part of this content type. So that's why it is failing. So of course, to fix that up, all we need to do is come back in here, click on edit. Where is that? Right here. And put that in. All right. And there you go. Now, a few other benefits of using ECA is that you can export things out. You can actually export this stuff out. So if you do want to copy things across between your websites, you can export it out as a, what is that? What is that actually? All right, so let's take a look here. So we have, that's not right. Just open this up and bring that across. We do have the models are defined here as YAML files, which is pretty good, which is actually very useful because you can move things around easily between websites. So that is one of the other benefits of ECA, portability. You can also import it in, and you can also adjust the settings as well here. And also, if you want to, as I mentioned, you can view the logs over here that get generated if something fails. All right, so at this point, we have looked at how to create our message templates, how to create our actual message logs. Now let's do a bit of site building and display our actual logs. Because if we go to content and message, you'll see that we do have 3 logs. Now, the whole point of this exercise and this module is to display these somewhere. So what we're going to do is use views module to simply display them as a block in the sidebar. So to do that, all we need to do is go to structure, views, and what I'll do is I'll bring myself back into the, there we go, and I'm back, there we go. Click on add view, and we'll call this one display, no, we'll call it display message logs. And then from our show, we'll select message because that's the entity we want to display, and create a block. And from display format, let's select HTML list. Now, if this is the first time you're looking at views or discovering views, well, welcome to views. It is a very powerful module. But I do have a video on this on the WebWash YouTube channel. So just search for it. That's like kind of a getting started with views if you want to learn more about it. So here you can see that we do have a very basic view. It's displaying the message ID. Let's now build this out. So what we're going to do is click on add and search for message text. And that is the actual message text that gets displayed. And what I will do is I will display it as a block quote. All right, you can see that right here. Looking good, looking good. Let's also get rid of this message ID, not necessary. And the last one is, what is it? Created on. Just be careful. I get these two mixed up all the time. To me, created on, created by, it's still just a blur. So created by is the user that created it, then created on is the actual date that it was created. Similar to authored on and authored by, it just really confuses me. So created on is the date. So let's select the format. and then click on apply. You can see that it's right there. Let's change the style of that a little bit just to kind of zhuzh it up. Style settings, and click on that, and let's select pre. Yeah, why not? This gives it a nice little different style. And finally, let's set the sort again. We'll add created on so that it sorts it by time descending. Okay, done. There we go. Scroll down and we can see it. All right, click on save and we're done. That's it. Just doing a little bit of side building now. Well, technically this whole video is side building, let's be honest, but this is, yeah, this is general Drupal site building. Click on structure, block layouts, and now what we're going to do is simply add it to the sidebar. So scroll down till we get to sidebar, search for display. There we go. We can configure exactly where this block is displayed. Again, if you want to learn more about blocks, I do have a video on blocks on the WebWash YouTube channel. Click on Save Blocks, and if we go to the home page, we can now see our listing right here. There you go, pretty simple. Now, of course, you may want to display this in a block. You may want to display this on a separate page. You may want to display it wherever you want. But this is just a nice way of displaying it, because I couldn't do a video on using message module without actually displaying the messages, even though that's a very tiny part of it. All right. So at this point, we've gone through the whole process of creating our message templates, then creating our actual message logs and displaying them, and also using ECA to display messages. To create messages. Now what I want to do is put everything we have learned together and implement a workflow using ECA where it tracks when a new comment has been created. So what we're going to do is pretty much condense everything we have done now in about 5 to 10 minutes and just build out that functionality. And so you can just see how easy it is and how quickly it is, of course, once you understand it, how to build it using Message and ECA. So let's jump right into it. All right. So what we're going to do is click on Structure, Message Templates. And of course, we need to create a new message template because we want to track when comments are created. So click on Add Message Template, and this one will be called Comment Created. Tracks when comments are created. Click on then Save Message Template. Then click on Edit on Comment Created, Manage Fields, and we need to go ahead and create an actual entity reference field to the comment entity. Click on Reference, then Continue. Now, of course, we can't see comments here. We can see content, taxonomy term, user, but that's all right. Let's add in our label first, which is message comment, then click on Other. And then from type of item to reference, select comment, and that's it. Then select default comments, then save settings. Now what we need to do is go back to our message page, and what I'm going to do is select full HTML, click on source, and then paste in this message. So what it's going to do is it's going to get the user, so it'll be username, then commented on, and then a link to the actual content where the comment appears on. So you can see here that it went via the actual entity reference field. And you can see that you got it from here. So entity title. One thing I do want to confirm, this URL, is this the correct URL? Oh, yes, it is. Because that is the URL to the comment which is on the content page. Yes, that's correct. I just want to verify that, but yeah, we can check that, because what it's going to do is going to link to it, and then it's going to use a hash to then anchor directly to the comment. All right, so we've done all of that. Now, the best way to test it out is let's put in a comment. ECA is great. Yes, it is. All right, we added in a comment. See it right here. Nothing's being logged right here, of course, because we haven't set that up. But if we go to content message, click on add message, and we'll just search for a comment, click on create. We should see, yep, ECA admin commented on, then ECA test, and this will take us to, okay, yep, the comment URL. Okay, perfect. Now, you may want to redirect this, depending how your comments are set up, to the actual node page. Yeah, there's multiple ways of linking to the comment. But this is working as it is. All right. Now let's go ahead and create our workflow. So click on configuration, then ECA. Obviously, we could just clone this workflow, but then this video will end very quickly. And I don't want to do that. And the whole point is to learn. So let's go ahead and do it by hand. But before I do that, let me disappear again from the video so I don't cover important information on the right-hand side. All right. So let's create a new model. And what I'll do is I'll call this one comment created. Then let's select, what is this? This is still content, what is it? Insert. So this will still be insert content entity. So when a content entity is created and the bundle is any type of comment, then we create a task, create message log, and we create new entity. The type will be, where is it? Message. Here we go. Comment created, and this will be message entity. We'll just use the same name. Defined by token. That's okay. That's okay. And then what you want to do is make sure that the owner UID is comment author UID. So that means that the owner, yes, the owner of the message is the actual person who commented. Very important. So we've done all of that. And then finally, we can create another set field value. And this will be set field value right here. And we need to make sure that this is field message comment. Then the field value will be the entity token. And most importantly, we need to reference our message entity, which is message-entity. Okay, I do believe this is working, or, well, no, this is configured correctly. Let's give it a test. So now if we go here, so where is our comments? The last one was ECA test. Let's comment on here. Test comment. Another test comment. Click on save. All right, so this is commented. So now we should have up the top here, commented on, okay. Now it did not work. Why is that? Let's debug it. Okay, Good, good. All right, let's now test it out. So let's go to configuration, ECA, insert entity on comment. That's correct. Let's go to logs. Do we have logs here? We don't have logs. Go back. So we have on a comment, that is correct on any comment. So create new log message, create log messages right there. Label. I do believe everything is correct there. Come down and, oh, I didn't save it. There we go. Save entity, very important. It didn't save the entity. Click on save. Okay, let's test that again. Let's open up a new tab. So we should see, click on save, scroll up, and we should see, there we go, right here, an ECA, another test. So this has been logged. So what was that? 5 minutes to just go in there and create it. If you want to log users, what happens with users using ECA, then have a look at these submodules. You'd probably have to install user, things like that. So there is a bit more probably involved in configuring ECA if you want to do some complex things. But as you've seen, like, it took us 5 minutes to set up the message template, chuck everything in there, and then just configure ECA to just log everything. And best of all, and this is the benefit of ECA, I can just come here and I can see everything. I can see everything here. You can even filter. Let me guess. Can you? Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. You can filter comment. There you go. You can search. You can put comment in. You can see which events are in it. You can even version them. You can even disable them. There is a lot you can do here. Absolutely a lot. There's a ton you can do. And if you've picked up a Drupal site that you need to maintain, just being able to see everything from a single page is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, before we finish up, let's go to configuration. And let's check out a few settings. So if you go to message, you can come along in here and delete all of your message types. This is just a nice way of, like, especially locally, if you just want to go ahead and delete them all, you can do that. Then if you click on message, you can set up a system where you want to purge messages. You may not want to keep them in Drupal for forever. You know, there may be a situation where you're pushing them off to a third-party system and you're just keeping them in Drupal temporarily. Then you can set things up where it'll automatically delete them after a certain amount of time and also a certain amount of days. And then you can go along here and update your arguments. Now, as I mentioned, by putting in entity reference fields, like an entity reference, that is the argument. So there may be a situation where you want to change your arguments around or change fields on them, and then that means you would have to probably retrospectively change all the message logs. But those are very specific edge cases. So that is how you use message module to track custom activities. You first want to go ahead and create your message template, and then you want to either write code or use ECA to create your message logs, and then you want to display your message logs in some particular way. Now, I should mention that if you want to look at integrating your messages with other third-party systems or even sending them off, then look at using message notify. Now, this is used to forward messages. And this can be SMS, it can be any type of, as it says here, transport mechanism. So notify doesn't just mean through email. It can be, you can write custom code to send off messages. So if you want to send messages off your Drupal site, then look at using message notify. There is also message subscribe. This allows users using the flag module to subscribe to changes. So whenever content is changed, they can then see it as an email. So you can see where message can become a very integral part of your Drupal site, where it's used to build actual proper functionality, where if you want users to receive notifications of when content is created, well, you can set up message and message subscribe for that. And then you have the message digest, which sends out a kind of a digest of changes where you can configure it. So it will send out every 2 days, every hour, every 6 hours, every three weeks, and kind of compacts it in. But these are advanced topics, and yeah, I would have ran out of time for the video now if I wanted to cover them. So if it's something you want covered in the future, let me know in the comments below. Well, that is it. Let's just wrap it up. So that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Drupal and other CMSs, head over to webwash.net. If you want to check out other live streams and other video recordings, you can head over to the WebWash YouTube channel and watch them over there, because if you click on tab, you will see all of the previous videos. Now, just a quick plug, I'm in the process of uploading all of these live streams into a premium community called WebWash Premium. I've just started recently editing the videos because I do have to cut these videos down into shorter videos. So instead of 1 hour long videos, just a few shorter ones, and it'll be ad free, and it'll be a community where you can ask questions and get access to me. And for now, I've got many ideas on what this community can be. But the focus is for me just to get this community going, and it's going to be a great way to support the channel as well. But more about that later. But all of these videos will still be available on YouTube. Just you will get mid-roll ads in the videos. They'll always be available on YouTube. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, that was fun. Fun. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Let's see how things are going. Any questions before we finish up? Okay. Yeah, this was this was a long one. Well, no, it wasn't. How long have I been streaming for? 1 hour and 9 minutes. Ah, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this. ECA, great module, great module. I'm thinking once Drupal CMS comes out, maybe I'll start using actual Drupal CMS as kind of like the base Drupal site moving forward, because that is a great way to promote it. Anyway. All right. Well, let's just finish up. I've got a lot of videos to edit these days now, so I need to kind of put everything together. And if there's any other ideas, need to figure out next week's video. I'm thinking of doing what is it? Actual flag module, because flag module's been updated for Drupal 11. It is a pretty, yeah, flag module is one of these modules that's pretty cool to use. Thinking of using that one. It's a very edge case, but it's fun. All right. Okay. Well, let's finish it up. Where is it? Where's my stuff here? All right. Take care, everyone.